In the decades following World War II, there was some general consensus in the civilized world in Europe, at least in the West, that each country is a sovereign nation, and we're not allowed morally or legally to invade another country for any reason, and there should be a respect for sovereignty of every country in the world, regardless of how small and defenseless it is, or whether it's a strong country or a weak country or somewhere in the middle. So there was this consensus, but then eventually it started falling apart, disintegrating, because many countries realized that it's not in their national interest to subscribe to this type of ideology to respect the sovereignty of other nations. It just became impracticable. And so there was all these various excuses that stronger countries came up with to invade their victims, or invade neighbors, invade other countries that it was in their national interest to invade. So, for example, we invaded Vietnam because we wanted to fight communism. We invaded Iraq under a fake pretext that they had nuclear weapons, or they were developing nuclear weapons. We destroyed Libyan dictator Gaddafi and his regime also under the pretext of him trying to develop nuclear weapons. We invaded, or the West, I guess, invaded into Yugoslavia under fake pretext of protecting the Bosnians, or in Sarajevo or something like that. There was all these invasions happening under all these fake pretexts. And then finally, also Russia followed suit. They invented a fairy tale that Ukraine somehow threatened Russia, that it was supposed to be a kind of a springboard for the West to attack Russia, that they were supposedly, the West was trying to send troops to Ukraine, or open up a military bases in Ukraine, develop bioweapons in Ukraine, all against Russia. And so Russia had to take a preemptive strike against the regime in Kiev to prevent invasion into Russia. So they came up with that kind of an excuse. China was the most timid one, and was kind of still didn't attack Taiwan, but they keep telling us that it's part of their territory, and so they have their own excuse to invade Taiwan. In Africa, there's all this different tribal warfare going on, where they claim territory, and I'm sure they have their own excuses over there too. So essentially, the foundation for United Nations and this principle of non-interference in other countries' affairs and respect for their sovereign borders, that concept is sort of became impractical. It fell apart. No one is really respecting it in the world. Only countries that are too weak to invade, they respect this type of ideology and this kind of consensus. Really, there is no consensus anymore. So right now we're living at a time when we allow ourselves to pursue our national interest rather than being globalists and working for the well-being of a global world order or something like that. So now we're on our own, and we're supposed to pursue our own national interests. And that brings me back to the topic of attacking Iran and trying to remove its regime. It's not a favor for Israel that we're, that some our people in the media are trying to push this narrative that we're doing a favor to Netanyahu, to Israel, by invading Iran, that this is, it's against our national interest, and we've been brainwashed by Israel to do this. But it is in our national interest. It's really not true, because it is in our national interest to control the Strait of Hormuz, to remove a hostile regime and replace it with a friendly to the United States regime in Tehran. We want Iran to be our ally. We want them to have a system that is friendly to us, and it is more westernized, like it used to be in the 70s or before the 70s. So why is it not in our interest to tackle this issue right now, even if it's risky? So we're not doing Israel a favor, we're doing ourselves a favor. However, it presents its challenges, and it seems to be very difficult to remove the regime that is well armed and has complete control over that society, using all these paramilitary troops and paramilitary armies to control the populations. It's very difficult without ground invasion, and ground invasions are very unpopular. So this will be our next challenge.